Hello, it's time for Top Dice. And welcome to Top Dice. Today with me, I've got Pete from Cakebread Walton, and author of quite a few different role-playing games. And we might even have Chris decide to pop in and join us at any time. Who knows? Just watch this space. Right. Hi, Pete. Do you want to sort of give a bit of a background as to who you actually are, just so the people actually know?
Yeah, I'm Peter Cakebread. Was one half of Cakebread and Walton, and now I'm kind of the whole of Cakebread and Walton at the moment. But I'm not because there's quite a lot of collaborators, including your good self, who
Yeah.
are also a part of it.
Yep.
Um, I got into gaming in about 1981, I'd guess, which ages me. Um, and back then it was D&D, I think, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons First Edition was what I got into. So yeah. And
A
then
good
about
start.
2009, I met Ken just before that, Ken Walton, and started actually producing games. So there you go. There's a very potted history.
There is indeed. So, first game you wrote, go on. What was that?
That would have been Clockwork and Chivalry, which Ken had come up with the idea of an alternate English Civil War. So we had the Roundheads, who also had mechanical things, automata, and then we had also the Royalists with alchemy. And so they had kind of alchemical magic and philosopher's stones, all that kind of thing. Brilliant game for him to pitch to me because I absolutely adore history. It's probably if there's anything I spend time reading or listening to more than gaming stuff, it's probably history. So
Yeah.
that was fantastic, and we wrote 4 installments of a campaign for it. Um, and they were with at the time Cubicle 7 we were working with. And I think it was Legend, and that became was the system. But we basically bought our own version, Renaissance, which was built on OpenQuest, and
Yeah.
so we got our own SRD. And once we sort of parted ways with Cubicle 7, we also carried on releasing those like some of the Renaissance games, some of the PDF only, some full books. But yeah, I mean that's jumping ahead a bit because there's a few games in between.
There is. Well, there are quite a few there. Obviously, there's this. Well, lots of highlights actually sort of in there. I won't mention Haunt Away yet. Okay, we'll keep that for a minute or two. Uh, there's there was Clockwork and Cthulhu, which was
We
quite
did
an
Clock and
unusual.
Cthulhu.
Now that was
Yeah.
quite an unusual back in the setting. Really, that was again a very unusual version of Cthulhu, D100 system as well, and that was using obviously Renaissance Deluxe. Now Renaissance
Yeah.
Deluxe, you said D100. I think that was about the time I actually talked to you first. That had just come out, I think.
Mm.
And I
Mm.
was that taken with the rule sets that we just ended up having a chat and ended up doing some
Yeah.
bits and pieces with it. But I can certainly recommend if anybody here is interested in D100 games, pick up Renaissance Deluxe. And also, it's fully
Cheers, Ed.
compatible with all the various sort of Cthulhu and other D100 games that are out there as well.
Mm.
It's nice and simple to convert to, and you can just do mad things with it, which has been proven time and time again. Um, the campaign that you mentioned there, the 4 books that came out, now that was pretty epic. That
Mm.
that
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. And
that
it needs finishing.
it needs finishing, but the 4 you got out, and there was is there a fifth version to a fifth edition to sort of wrap it up here? Was it 5 books that was planned or
I
more?
want 6 really. I mean, there's and I know where they'll be set as well, which is basically France and London. Um, but there'll be a little bit more to it than that. So
Excellent.
um, yeah, so I want they're kind of they're all in my up here unfortunately, and not on the in Word where they should be.
It'll come
Um,
out.
yeah, absolutely. But no, I think the 4 it was really good fun writing them, and it sort of lent into some of the games I love.
Yeah.
It's because the early modern period is very kind of evocative, but also, when you look at kind of some of the stuff that's done with Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, which Ken also had done some work for,
Yeah.
that kind of grim, grim and perilous, is quite. But also, even though it's all set at so far, well, bar one, in England. You could just tell so many different stories with it. So, I could do a sandbox in one book, and I could do something a bit more kind of linear in another, but always trying to give loads of options so people go off piste and decide, oh well, I'll go to there instead. They've got kind of the tools to say, oh okay, well yeah, I can tell you what's over there
It
using either the
works.
info in the book or the tables or whatever. Because I didn't want it to kind of feel like a complete railroad for people. I wanted to be say, okay, if you go off the map, actually, there's plenty of stuff to do. And it was great to write.
Good
But
to
it
read
was
as well.
also
Yeah.
interesting as the first book because Ken had been working as a copy editor, and I always thought I was quite good at writing. When the first copy came back covered in red pen, I thought, okay, I'm going to have to do some learning here, aren't I?
Yeah, I've been on the receiving end of Ken's pen as well. And do you
But
know
he's
what?
right.
Oh God, yeah, it certainly makes a difference though. It really did add when he took a look at what he actually put down notes wise. It made a heck of a difference.
I
Actually,
I learned so much as well. I mean, I feel absolutely fine now proofing myself. I know not my own work. I mean, I sometimes do it for other people, and I feel very comfortable doing it. But that's a testament to Ken's hard work,
yeah,
training me actually what I should be doing. Because I'd always thought about it in terms of like an academic essay or something, not actually writing for a wider audience.
yeah,
Quick learning curve to realise exactly the
yeah,
difference. So, yeah,
big one
but
on that. And then of course there's another game that came out which yourself and Ken actually wrote, Dark Streets.
yeah, Dark Streets. We missed Airship Pirates, I think, but I
Yeah,
can't
we
remember
took.
the chronology.
Yeah, there's
But
Airship. I was going to come on to Airship
but
Pirates in a minute.
Dark Streets. Oh, sorry, Dark Streets. I absolutely adored. I mean, I think that just played into my love of history,
Yeah,
um, and I think again it's the mythos, but this time it's meeting kind of the Bow Street runners,
yeah,
and I'm quite interested not just in history but the history of crime and punishment. Part of stuff I studied in the past. Um, And I just think also if I don't know if you ever caught the series Garrow's Law, the reading the Old Bailey online as well for research. I mean, it's a horrific time, and you've got this kind of horrific mythos, Lovecraftian thing going on, and you've got this kind of horrific time to live. I mean, it was really. A time like no other, I suppose. Break with so many things from the past, but not quite the into modernity. And it was just amazing to write and to research it all. I do try on the whole to use a lot of research, even though if I decide for fun to then go and break it for a better game, I like to at least know what I'm breaking. Yeah,
well,
fantastic, great
it
game to write.
it was a great game to write, but also it's an absolutely amazing source book for London for
Yeah, I mean
any
we're very
other
lucky.
game. Yeah, so
Yeah,
it that's the way it sort of comes across. The chunks in there about the various boroughs and parts of London. It shows where the research actually sort of went, and then you've got the tentacles stuck in there as well, just as you say, to make it even more
yeah,
dark and
and
inventing.
it didn't feel too much sort of latching that on, taking a straight history and putting the tentacles. There's something about that time, it's the time where just anyway getting from one side of London to another without getting attacked,
Yeah.
could be without defense. The legal system is so much different. And yeah, I mean, it was just the height of kind of moral panics about gin and moral panics about all sorts of things and vice. But at the end of the day, you also had this burgeoning kind of free market thing going on in London, and so basically there was no help, and it made for an awful time. Kids abandoned on the streets, all this kind of stuff, but also the urbanization. And I think that's the thing, is this urban sprawling mass that must have felt terrifying for a lot of its inhabitants. Um, but at the same time, there's all these kind of crazes going on, because as well as the gin craze, you've got the coffee and the tea and the jelly and all the other things that people are indulging in. Yeah, it's fascinating to write. I'm thinking of an Edinburgh source book, which I'll probably take that a bit forward in time. I'll probably head for the 1820s with that. I think rather than the sort of height of the Enlightenment in Edinburgh, I think I might go for something a little bit later. Um, they had a police force earlier than England did,
They did, yeah.
and I think I might look at that early police force. So 1820s seems like a good spot for that.
It does, and
A
also
bit
one
more
that's not been
established.
covered. Yeah, and this is
Yeah,
this is the thing. It sits in a different period that has not really been touched on before to any such a great degree, which I think is important.
yeah,
So we've got Dark Streets, and then obviously you've just mentioned before Airship Pirates, which
yep,
again is quite a thing. So that ties into Robert Brown,
yeah,
Captain Brown
yeah.
and Co. And that in itself was quite a thing. So how did you get talking to Captain Robert and Abney
Well, I
Potter?
did, and Ken did. Ken just contacted him and said, "Hey, I listen to your music. I love it. I think it would make a really cool game." And then between them, and then at the time, see Cubicle 7 as well. Angus got involved, and it just came about that we'd write it. So yeah, I mean that was great. Again, I mean obviously, it plays to some of the way I've taken on some of the cultures. I mean, it's quite. It's quite interesting because there's a lot of scope for satire in the game.
Yeah,
So you can do all the kind of, very steampunk, very high adventure, very kind of um, big heists and stings, which are just fantastic, all that stuff. But there's also, it's a strange future.
yeah,
The idea is that Captain Robert and Co have spoiled the timeline, and so there's this kind of oppressive emperor, or the third in line actually of oppressive emperors, imposing a very warped, deep green world where humans have mostly been eliminated or put into big cage, change cage cities,
yeah.
and uber beasts and
Roam the
the other
countryside. Yeah,
people that cling on, and the sky folk, they're outside of that. So it's a very, very dystopian, and all sorts of stuff, between these kind of neo-Victorians in these cities and the Mad Max kind of tribes outside. It's great. Again,
lots of role
good.
playing opportunity,
Exactly. Yeah,
which is
yeah.
what it's good
We
for.
bought out the Walden one. The one we did with C7, which was use the Heresy engine, but then we bought out a one dice version as well.
Yeah,
But yeah, great to be able to play that, and also lots of artists got on board, some fantastic artists.
fandom. Yeah.
So again, it was a bit of a thing of beauty, the book. So yeah,
So
yeah, really enjoyed putting that together.
and then we'll move on to. I know there've been other ones as well in between, but we'll move on to One Dice, which is
Yeah,
your baby basically. So
yeah.
how did that come about?
I thought about it in about 10 minutes. It's awful to say, but I had been thinking at the same time for years about how can I make role playing really, really accessible for younger people, and also really easy for people who, if they're really knackered after work, haven't got the energy to think about too much rules crunch and prep and all those things, but they've got a little story they'd like to, tell with their players, or a little idea for a scene or whatever, as a one shot. How can it be made as easy as it can? And of a war game, so I play kind of things in the past with, using 1d6. The very, very first Warhammer Fantasy Battle, I think, was a kind of skirmishy type game. And I thought, okay, so how can I strip this down so it'll just sit there and purr in the background of a game, and have some coherent sense and some scalability, but essentially it's the least effort with mechanics ever. So that's how I came up with it. And then I play tested it. It was a punk festival, and I'd been asked if I'd run a game. So one of my mates is a big RuneQuest fan, actually, and I thought, well, I'm not taking books. I'm not. I can't do all that thing.
No.
So I've got paper plates, and we did characters on paper plates. And I can't remember if it was a phone app or a pencil with the 6 sides with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 written on them. And we just ran. I just ran a fantasy one dice fantasy game, and it worked really well. And I thought, oh, there's something about this. And then I found after we released some of the books that I was getting quite a lot of people saying, yeah, it's a really good game for juniors. And I regret not being able to sort of make that a bigger game for juniors, because I actually think it would be a really good pick-up game if I could get that more mainstream
Yeah.
or into schools, whatever. But also, there's a lot of kind of more sort of experienced older gamers who are actually like, well, actually, yeah, it's easy to run. I quite enjoy using this.
Yeah.
Um,
It,
and I think sometimes it's like less is more. It's just you don't always require a
no, you don't.
lot of heft.
Well, the way I see it, I hope you don't take offence at this. I
Hmm,
see it basically as GURPS Basic, because with
yeah.
all the various books that you've actually sort of got covering so many different, you've got World War
Mm,
Two, World War One, you've got
mm.
two different spy ones, you've got you've got horror out there, you've got
Haunt away. Let's haunt away.
yeah, there's Haunt Away. Yeah, I don't know who. We might do an interview with the author of that sometime.
He's very difficult to work with. I mean, I'd
Awful,
be
awful man.
careful.
Yeah, awful man. Um, there's so many Robin Hood as well. There's so many different genres that have actually sort of been called space supers. Space is just an amazing book. Again, there's a bit of disclaimer. I
Thank
helped
you.
a bit with that one, but it's an absolute gorgeous hardback, and the GURP supers as well. Again, everything is in there. Nice little hardcover, and you just don't need anything else. But you can pick a mix. So you want World War
Mm,
Two supers, that's absolutely fine. You just
yeah.
get the two books, you mix them together, and bang, you've got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Um, want some pulp in there as well, and you want to sort of hit some Nazis, that's absolutely fine as well. Just get the pulp book, I'd throw bits of that in, and
Make a heavier one.
yeah, that's it. Well, you need it just to give them a good whack, don't you? But it's all there basically, and
Yeah.
it's so simple, easy read books. That's the great thing with it. The rules are very simple, as you sort of said,
Mm,
and I love the way that when you're actually the character generation is part of the rules, and that's how you actually
mm.
sort of learn. And if you can play one, then you can play just about any. I've got quite a few different
Yeah.
things on my hard drive at some
And
stage
it gives a
to.
bit of freedom. I know I've got that to hook it on, but it gives that little bit of freedom as well. So it's cyberpunk. I just thought, how can I represent going into cyberspace as a bit, yeah, a bit differently, and having an avatar and different kind of skins within cyberspace. It it is really simple, but it doesn't mean you have to have a really simple story. You can
Oh,
use it
hello.
at
Hey, Chris. Glad you
Hi,
enjoyed.
hi.
hello.
Uh, Chris, Pete, Chris.
Hi,
Yeah.
really nice to finally meet.
Oh, and his sound and video's gone already. But anyway, we'll carry on. It's live TV, this folks. We'll sort of carry on with it. So we're talking about um, the cyberpunk again and
Mm.
cyberspace there.
It's just nice to have something that's easy to play in rather than that takes a lot of getting my head round before I start. But that
Yeah,
said, I mean, I still love the D100 stuff. It's not an either or. It's just
it's
what,
something different, isn't it? This is, and the thing
yeah,
is, I think if you do right just with one game, not so much boredom, but you can end up sort of just coming up with the same things time and time, and getting different things actually sort of out there is a big thing. But again, back to One Dice, it's adaptable. We've played very successful games of One Dice Judge Dredd. I know the
Yeah.
book can never come out because of copyright. Paranoia, we've done that. So that
Right.
was just absolutely a psychotic kill fest of players, but it worked. And One Dice James Bond as well. That fits in a bit with the with the spies one, but we kind of took it in slightly bit of a different direction. And that's just some examples actually sort of there. And the Judge Dredd skin, as they're actually called. Oh, and Scooby Doo, we've done Scooby Doo as well. But
Yeah.
the skin, as they call it, for actually converting it over for Judge Dredd was 2 pages of an A4. That was it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was just using
And
the.
actually, I played in a Judge Dredd that somebody did using One Dice.
Yeah.
So obviously, people are using it for all sorts of different stuff. I mean, it's good that people are finding it that simple to use to do whatever they want with. So
Yeah.
that was the intention.
Well, I know Chris is quite a big fan of One Dice as well. It's I don't know whether he's actually frozen there or not. I think he's kind of semi. Oh, you're kind of frozen again, Chris. There.
I may disappear. My internet connection today is lousy. It really is. Slightly annoyed.
Well,
Good to see you though, Chris.
Yeah, I know.
It's live TV, folks. Can't get much more live than this. So, what's next on the schedule for Cakebread and Walton then?
Well, I mean, without going into a lot of detail, things have been really quiet for a few years for one reason or another. But it looks like we're going to be launching a Kickstarter or some sort of crowdfunding very soon. We're going to start with a few One Dice releases, I think. We've got One Dice Bit Odd in It, which is a very set in an English village. Lots of strange characters in the village, with some both cosmic horror twists, but also some folkloric horror twists. And it's the kind of village that once you live there, you find it hard to get out. Often the roads are closed, and sometimes you wander off the edge of the map and just find yourself back on it again.
That's it. Off one side, back. You just
yeah. Something to do with those standing stones.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it happens all the time. The joys of
And
living in England.
the local road out's called the A Pie. I mean, it's not good, but again, I think it plays to that the quirky, hopefully cozy in places, but not in others, kind of thing I like to write. And so I thought it'd be a good sort of way to dip my toes back in and get something released. And I've been doing that with Chris Newton, who's a friend who I work with, and we've already got the map. I saw the maps of it today. I'm loving it. I saw the maps for the village, and they're looking really good. We got a kind of region map and a village map, and I've just seen the final version, so very excited with that. And it's going to be your teen adventurers, and you've got all the weird stuff, but you've also got to cope with school and the fact you're in this little village, and a bit like Midsummer, there's all these kind of these events are going to happen, and to get extra credit, you're going to have to do it.
Yeah, that's the way. It's a cross between a typical I don't know, a cross between a Carry On movie and a Hammer horror. It sounds like, which is absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, people have been asking what it's going to be. Is it going to be, Famous Five meets Royston Vasey? I don't know. I mean, hopefully it'll be a bit more kind of subtle than that. I mean, but maybe it won't. I think we'll let people do what they want with it. What we'll do with this is we're going to give you a good setting with the village. We're going to give you the options to create your teen adventures, and then the tone itself. You'll be able to choose which way to go with it. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I like sort of Chris has wrote a book, Filed Witch, and it's different. It's set in the past and all the rest of it. But I do like not just having that kind of cosmic horror thing, but having also the English folkloric things that come up in little villages, where, don't go out at night, this will get you. And it's like, well, actually it might. So.
especially in this particular game. Definitely, it's well. I'm looking forward to sort of seeing more and backing that one.
Thank you.
So just bring it on. Can't wait to see that. And
Yeah,
also,
and,
before you do, we'll get you back on here just to push it.
So,
Cool.
yeah.
Well, the game will be finished this week. The writing of it, and we've got the maps, but obviously that's not the whole story. We've got to get it,
No.
from there to production. But yeah, it's been really good fun to write again, and to realise that I can still write a one dice book, and it'd be really good fun to do. And
You've still got it.
yeah, I think people will be pleased.
Yeah,
I'm really pleased with what we've come up with. I think it's going to be really fun to play. We're going to be play testing it as well. Obviously, doing a few one shots. Yeah, I just know, I know it's going to be fun. So
well, there we go. It sounds like a bit of a one dice Renaissance Deluxe, shall we say? So there we go.
yeah, I mean, yeah, the maps and things. It is going to be. We'll have to have a little think about the production of it. I've got various ideas. I mean, it might be we do a poster map separately or something like that. But they'd be a shame to just do the black and white version in the book. I think the maps deserve a bit more as well, and I think the players would also appreciate them. But
Well,
yeah,
they
it's been
will.
really fun. Quirky English village to populate. I can't fault that work. That's good work. There's no hardship there.
No, well, we've got we've got a future. We're going to be seeing quite a bit more of Cakebread and Walton then, which is absolutely excellent.
Yeah.
So to put you on the spot, top 3 role-playing games. Go.
Well, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, probably playing the enemy within, when I was younger. It's kind of it was a revelation, really. And I'm going to say it's more of a revelation because of the campaign. So I really enjoyed RuneQuest, but I think just because that enemy within campaign hit me at just the right time, that's got to be in there. Call of Cthulhu, I can't not choose that, because when I go to a convention, if I'm not running my own games, I'll tend to head and at least sign up for one in a weekend. So it's that consistent thing that I'm always interested in playing it. And third one's difficult because I'd like to put in a curveball, but I think I've got to be really vanilla and say
No,
AD&D First Edition.
you can put the
I mean,
curveball in again.
it's again. I can't put a curveball in. I mean, the thing is, AD&D First Edition. It's what made me fall in love with gaming. I didn't play it an awful lot after I first had it, and now I've come back to it, and I've sort of got a little relatively newbie group, and I'm running my own homebrewed stuff for that, but using AD&D First Ed. So I can't I can't lie. That's where my head's up to.
Well, it's a classic game, and the thing is, it's not flawless by any stretch, but it takes you 5 minutes to create a character again, so it's nice and simple. The adventures you can sort of go on and the stories you can tell with it are absolutely just I don't know, so memorable. That you can talk about them for years to come, and that's the great thing actually with it. In fact, with all of those, bit disappointed you didn't mention Haunt Away, One Dice Haunt Away there in your top 3.
And my current GM will be disappointed as well, because and this is weird, he's running for us a fantastic campaign that he's written, but for Pirates and Dragons.
Fantastic. Well, that's another game we didn't actually mention. Yeah.
But it's very strange playing in a world that had so much in the writing of, and I still haven't got a clue what's going on.
No, well, that's half the fun of it. It can go in any direction that they decide they want to, and that's part of the glory of it. And there was enough detail in there again, Pirates and Dragons, to cover everything, but at the same time there was lots of spaces to add your own bits of lore in and really expand it out, which was the great thing. Chris,
which is what they've done. I think they've written a bigger book than I have.
Oh, there we go. Second edition. There we go. Go on, Chris. Anything you want to ask?
Yeah.
Oops. Well, we might never know. We'll have to get you back on another occasion when Chris's internet is actually sort of better, I think. So that
you guys keep freezing.
we're fine.
Yeah.
Actually, I just keep locking out. It's really annoying. No, it's not. You know what?
Well, I'll tell you what. Just for you, Chris, we'll actually get Pete back in say about a month's time for another chat,
Poor
and we'll have
fools.
yeah, that's it. And we'll talk about just one dice or something like that next time,
The
rather
other
than
thing
just
I'd
an
like to
overview.
talk about is
Go on.
just to say how great it has been, what you've done with the Facebook group, and the amount of
Thank
hard
you.
work you've put in, and I know as well other people have put in. Um, it really is appreciated. I think it is great that people are doing something for the UK role playing scene, giving us a little space to kind of see what people are up to and to promote things, but also just to chat. And even though I don't always comment, I do keep an eye on a lot of it, and I really appreciate it. And I ponder.
Good.
It gives me a lot of food for thought when I see people's posts. I think, well, do I agree with that? Do I not agree with that? There was a late one of the latest ones was on storytelling
Yeah,
versus and role playing, and
Yeah.
it just gets the
yeah.
your brain ticking over. Good
It
stuff.
does.
So thank you, because I know that you put a lot of work in and spend a lot of time on it.
It does take up quite a bit of time. It's become quite like this. There's been nothing like a community role playing UK role playing channel. Nothing like it,
Yeah.
and I can't work out why. And we only have a small number
Somebody.
of people actually subscribing, but the amount of hours watched when you look at it, it's
Yeah.
through the roof.
Yeah.
So people are tuning in. They're having a look. They're having half of the reason I've been told is because I don't say at the beginning of a video, make sure you subscribe. and but it's just not me. If people want to subscribe, they will do. I've had a couple of pushes on it, and I'm just pleased with the way it's going, and I'm doing it for the love of the thing, and I think we all are. This is what it's all
Well, if
about.
anyone's still here after all my waffling, hit the subscribe button.
Thank you very
There
much,
you
because
go.
Pete said so.
Thank you.
Well, what I'm going to do is as well, I'm going to put links in to the Drive-Through RPG Cakebread and Walton page. Now, I don't think you've actually got your website up anymore, have you, Pete?
We put a holding website there because the intention was always to come
Right.
and do some more. So there is a holding website, and people still can message, and it will get redirected to me. And there's also some of our stuff still available Studio 2 in the stores as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, even though I'm sure I won't make it as much money on it, make sure you support your friendly local game store and order games to them
Yeah.
via Studio 2 or whatever. So
Definitely,
yeah,
definitely do that,
there
and
you
make
go.
sure that you order one dice haunt away first.
Yeah, well, it's a fantastic book.
It's
It is good, and I have run it. I've done a couple of one shots with it, and it's a lot of fun.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we've done all sorts. We've had Ken Dodd and the Jambutty mines and all sorts exploding in Lime Street so stations. So yeah, we've been there as well with it. It's been great, and yeah, and you were in
great to
that one.
hear. It's great to hear people having fun with all of it. It really is.
Yeah.
It's what it was for.
Well, basically that's it. When you sort of think about the amount of sales of one dice, how many
Mm.
people are actually playing this particular game, and it's a game that you've sort of brought out there. It is introductory, but you can make it as advanced as you want, and it's just great. It really is. It's
Yeah,
a
and
great little
there's a
library.
free quick start as well. I don't know. I'm not very good at promotion normally, but as we're saying, as we're in the mood, yeah, there is a quick start. So if anyone wants to pick it up for now and just have a look at it, it's there as well. So
Fantastic. That's on Drive-Through Role Playing. I'll
should be.
stick a link in there, and there's
I
also
think it's
if you
pay
want.
as you want, and people normally pay no pence.
Yes, and you're quite welcome to have a look, and then you can go and pay full price for the other ones. But also there is actually an SRD of Renaissance Deluxe, your
There
D100
is.
system. So again, if
Yeah.
somebody just wants a bare bones game without the various graphics and fluff in there, it's there, and it's there to use, and it's a great D100 system, and it's free to use. So you just give credit to Cakebread and Walton. That's all you need to do with that. And if you have a word with Pete, I'm sure he'd help promote and push it as well, because there have been a couple of games that have come out that have used that.
Yeah, yeah, there has, and likewise with One Dice, there's been other people think, oh, again, I mean that one isn't open license, but yeah, I mean
So there
it's
you go.
normally
Any One
yeah.
Dice, any you want to do something with One Dice, talk to Pete and see if you can convince him that it'd be a really good idea. I'm sure it wouldn't be that difficult.
No.
Right. And on that note, the more people that are out there playing and using One Dice, the better. And on that note, I'll call it a day. So thank you very much for joining us, and do check and click subscribe and check back with us very soon. Thank you very much.
I will do. Thank you very much.